Picture this. As you're watching this video right now, there's a guy out there literally making $200,000 a year who is more broke than a college student splitting one ramen packet 3 ways. And in that exact same city, there's a bus driver who's quietly going to retire a millionaire. Same city, same rent, same overpriced coffee. Wildly different endings. And the difference between them isn't luck. It isn't a rich uncle. It isn't some secret crypto coin that a guy named Chad slid into their DMs. The difference is one rule about money. A rule so simple, your grandma could explain it in a single sentence with her mouth full. And yet somehow, most people fail at it their entire lives. They fail at it in their 20s, they fail at it in their 40s, and then they blame the economy, like the economy personally walked into their apartment and bought a jet ski. So today I'm going to tell you the rule. Then I'm going to show you the 4 reasons your own brain sabotages you every single time you try to follow it. And by the end, you'll never be able to unsee it. Fair warning, number 3 has probably cost you more money than every bad haircut of your life combined. Okay, here's the rule. Deep breath, here it comes. Spend less than you earn and put the difference to work. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the secret the entire personal finance industry is built on, dressed up in a suit and sold back to you for $499. I know, you're disappointed. You were hoping I'd say, buy this one stock, or there's a tax loophole billionaires don't want you to know. Nope. It's spend less than you make and take what's left over and make it make money too. Simple, right? Sure. Simple like, just don't eat the whole pizza is simple. Simple to say. Nearly impossible to actually do, because your brain is a raccoon in a trench coat that wants shiny things right now. So the real question isn't, what's the rule? You already basically knew the rule. The real question is, why does almost everybody fail at it? And that's where it gets juicy. Because the reasons are dumber, funnier, and way more personal than you think. Let's start with the biggest one. The lie that keeps even smart, hardworking people broke well into their 40s. And honestly, it's probably the strongest, most counterintuitive one. Point 1. I just need to make more money. Watch this. Ask a broke person how they'd fix their money problems, and 9 out of 10 will say the same magic words. I just need to make more money. And that sounds so reasonable. It sounds like adulting. It sounds responsible. It is also, statistically, one of the biggest traps in the entire game. Here's why. There's this thing called Parkinson's Law, and the money version goes like this. Your spending rises to match whatever you earn. Always. Automatically. Like water filling a cup, except the cup is your ego and the water is a car payment you did not need. Let me paint a picture for you. You get your first real job. You're making, let's say, 40 grand and you're barely scraping by. You think, if I just made 60, I'd be set. So you grind, you level up, boom, you're making 60. And for about 2 weeks, you feel rich. Then the raccoon in the trench coat wakes up. Suddenly, the old apartment feels kind of small. The old car feels kind of embarrassing. You deserve the nicer phone because you worked for it. And within about 90 days, you're making $60,000 and you're still broke. Same empty bank account, just with fancier problems. This is why you see people make more money every single year and somehow have less. This is why lottery winners, people who got handed the entire cheat code, go broke. Reportedly, around a third of big lottery winners eventually end up bankrupt. Bankrupt! You'd have to try to lose that much money. And they did try by upgrading every single thing in their life the second the check cleared. So here's the punchline, and I need you to tattoo it on the inside of your eyelids. A bigger shovel doesn't help you if the hole has no bottom. If you can't manage 40 grand, 60 grand won't save you. It'll just give you more expensive ways to be broke. More money only works if you keep the gap. The space between what you earn and what you spend, open. Most people close that gap the instant it appears. And a closed gap is why the 200K guy is more stressed than the bus driver. Now, if earning more isn't the fix, you'd think people would at least look honestly at what they're spending. Oh, sweet summer child, because reason number 2 is where people don't just lose money. They set it on fire on purpose for an audience. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit out loud. A huge chunk of what we buy, we don't even buy for us. Point 2. Confusing looking rich with being rich. Let me introduce you to the most dangerous phrase in the English language, but it makes me look successful. There is an entire generation walking around dead broke, driving cars they can't afford, wearing logos that cost more than their savings account, all to impress people who, and I cannot stress this enough, are not thinking about them at all, ever. Those people are too busy going broke trying to impress you. It's a broke-off. Everybody loses. There is no prize. Here's the brutal reframe. Every time you buy something expensive to look rich, you become less rich because the money left your account. The whole point of being rich is having the money. And the second you spend it on a status symbol, you traded the actual thing for a costume of the thing. Think about it like this. Being rich is invisible. That's the plot twist nobody tells you. A big bank account looks like nothing. It's a number on a screen. You can't wear a Roth IRA to the club. So people who want to feel rich reach for the visible stuff. The car, the watch, the bag, the bottle service. And mistake the costume for the character. And there's actual data on this. There's a famous study, later a book called The Millionaire Next Door, where researchers went to find real millionaires expecting mansions and sports cars. Instead, they found boring people. Regular houses, used cars, off-the-rack clothes. The guy with the leased Mercedes and the giant house, usually up to his eyeballs in debt, one missed paycheck from the whole thing collapsing like a Jenga tower in an earthquake. Meanwhile, the actual millionaire is the dude in the paid-off Toyota who you'd never look at twice. So let me hit you with the line that reframed this for me forever. Broke people spend money to look rich. Rich people spend money to become rich. Same wallet, opposite direction. One's paying for applause, the other's buying freedom. And look, I'm not saying live like a monk and floss with dental floss you found on the ground. Buy things you love. Enjoy your money. That's the whole point of having it. Just make sure you're buying it because you want it. Not because you're performing wealth for strangers on the internet who will forget your existence in 4 seconds. Quick gut check and be honest. How much of your last big purchase was for you? And how much was for the wait till they see this moment? Sit with that. It stings for a reason. And hey, if that one hit a little too close to home and you kind of want to yell at me, that's exactly why you should hit subscribe. This whole channel is me saying the uncomfortable money stuff your friends are too polite to say, so you can fix it while you're young enough for it to actually matter. Subscribe, and let's keep going. Because reason number 3 is the one that's quietly costing you the most. And you can't even see it happening. The first 2 reasons cost you money you can see. This next one costs you money you'll never even meet. Because you're stealing it directly from your future self, and your future self has no way to fight back. Point 3. I'll start later. The time bomb. The most expensive 4 words in personal finance. I'll start saving later. Later, when you make more. Later, when things calm down. Later, when Mercury isn't in retrograde and your car finally stops making that noise. Later is the credit card of good intentions, and the interest is brutal. Let me show you exactly what later costs. And I need you to actually feel this one, because the number is genuinely insane. Imagine you invest $200 a month. That's it. Roughly $7 a day, less than some people spend on iced coffee and impulse snacks. You put it into a basic index fund that tracks the stock market, which has historically averaged around 10% a year over the long run. You start at 25, and you just leave it alone until you're 65. You know what that $200 a month turns into? About $1.26 million. Now here's the gut punch. Out of that whole pile, you personally only put in about $96,000. The other $1.1 million, that's not you. That's time doing the heavy lifting. That's your money having babies, and then the babies having babies while you sleep. It's called compound interest, and it is the closest thing to actual magic that exists in a spreadsheet. But watch what later does. Say you don't start at 25, you wait just 10 years, you start at 35 instead. Same $200 a month, same everything. You just retire with 30 years of growth instead of 40. That $1.2 million, it collapses to about $450,000. Read that again. Waiting 10 years didn't cost you 10 years of contributions. You skipped putting in $24,000, and it cost you over $800,000 in the end. You saved 24 grand and set 800 grand on fire. That is the worst trade in human history, and people make it every single day by telling themselves, hey, I'll start next year. This is why time is the one ingredient you literally cannot buy more of later. A broke 22-year-old with 40 years ahead of them is in a better position than a stressed 40-year-old with a way bigger paycheck. The kid has the one thing money can't rebuy: Compound interest doesn't care how smart you are, how hard you hustle, or how good your vibes are. It only rewards one thing: starting early and not touching it. So no, you don't need to start when you're ready. Nobody's ever ready. You need to start with an embarrassingly small amount right now, today, while it's still awkward and tiny. 20 bucks, 50, whatever won't scare you off. Because the amount barely matters at the start. The clock matters. And the clock started the second this sentence began. All right, so if the rule is this simple and starting early is this powerful, there's one obvious question left. If everyone knows they should save, why does the money keep vanishing anyway? Reason number 4 explains it, and honestly, it's the most human one on the list. Because it turns out the problem was never really the math. You've been trying to win a willpower fight that was rigged against you from the start. Point 4. Saving what's left over and relying on willpower. Here's how most people try to save money. Ready? They spend all month on whatever pops up, and then at the very end, they look at whatever sad little crumbs are left in the account and go, I'll save that. And you know how much is usually left? Nothing. A negative amount and a subscription to an app you forgot you downloaded. Because save what's left over is a plan built entirely on willpower. And willpower, my friend, is a phone battery. It starts the day at 100%, and by 6 p.m. you're at 4%. And buying tacos, you'll regret. You cannot out-discipline a system that's designed to drain you. Every ad, every app, every buy now with one-click button was engineered by people way smarter than both of us to separate you from your money. Fighting that with raw willpower is like showing up to a gunfight with a strongly worded note. So flip it. This is the oldest money trick in the book, and it still works because it's cheating in the good way. It's called pay yourself first. The second money hits your account, before rent, before fun, before the raccoon in the trench coat wakes up, you move a chunk straight into savings or investing. Automatically, on autopilot, so you never even see it and never get the chance to talk yourself out of it. You're basically hiding money from your own worst instincts. And it works shockingly well, because here's the secret about humans. We don't miss money we never saw. If your paycheck lands and 50 bucks silently teleports into an index fund, before you even open the app, you will adjust. You'll live on the rest. You won't even feel it in a month. But if you wait to see that 50 bucks sitting there, it's gone. It always finds a reason. It's always something. Automate it, and you turn saving from a daily fight you're losing into a decision you make once. Set it up in 10 minutes on a Sunday, and then it just happens. Forever. While you're asleep. While you're at brunch. While you're arguing with a stranger in the comments. The system saves for you, so you don't have to be a hero about it every single day. The people who win with money aren't more disciplined than you. Let go of that. They just built systems, so they don't have to be disciplined. They remove themselves from the equation because they know the raccoon always wins in a fair fight. So don't fight fair. Rig the game in your favor. And real talk, if you set up just that one thing this week, the automatic transfer, you'll be ahead of most people twice your age. That's the kind of tiny, unsexy move this channel is obsessed with. So subscribe if you want more of the stuff that actually moves the needle instead of the skip your coffee to become a billionaire nonsense the internet keeps recycling. Okay, one last piece, and it ties the whole thing together. Here's the truth underneath all 4 of these. The thing nobody wants to hear. Managing money was never really a math problem. If it were math, everyone would be rich because the math is 4th grade stuff. Money in minus money out equals the gap. Keep the gap, grow the gap, done. An 8-year-old can do that arithmetic. And yet grown adults with real jobs and college degrees blow it constantly. Why? Because money is emotional. We don't spend to be logical. We spend to feel something. We buy stuff when we're sad. We buy stuff when we're bored. We buy stuff to celebrate, to cope, to feel like we're winning, to fill a Tuesday that felt a little empty. That retail therapy joke isn't a joke. It's a diagnosis. So every one of these 4 failures is really an emotional leak wearing a financial costume. Chasing a bigger paycheck to fix your spending, that's you avoiding the uncomfortable truth about your habits. Buying stuff to look rich, that's insecurity with a receipt. Waiting till later, that's fear dressed up as patience. Saving only the leftovers, that's you not trusting yourself. And honestly, being right not to. Which means the fix was never about learning some advanced finance ninja technique. The fix is embarrassingly boring. Make the smart choice the automatic one, and make the dumb choice a little harder. Automate your savings, so being good takes 0 willpower. Delete the shopping app so being bad takes actual effort. Wait 24 hours before any big purchase because the raccoon has the attention span of a goldfish and usually gives up by morning. You're not trying to become a monk. You're just trying to build a couple of speed bumps between your feelings and your bank account. That's it. That's the master move. Not more income, not more hustle, not more shame. Just a gap you protect and a system that protects it for you. So let's zoom back out. The rule was simple this whole time. Spend less than you earn and put the difference to work. Grandma nailed it in one sentence. But you fail at it because your brain lies to you in 4 specific ways. It tells you more money will fix a spending problem. It won't. The hole just gets deeper. It tells you looking rich is the same as being rich. It's the exact opposite. The costume costs you the character. It tells you later is fine, and later quietly steals a fortune from your future self. 10 grand of skipped saving turning into 800 grand of vanished wealth. And it tells you you'll save the leftovers. But there are never leftovers because willpower dies by dinner time. Beat all 4 with one boring, beautiful move. Automate the gap so you don't have to be a hero every single day. That's the whole game. And now you can't unsee it. But I know exactly what you're thinking right now because I thought it too. Cool, I'll automate it. But invest it into what? Because put it to work sounds great until you open an investing app and it looks like the cockpit of a spaceship, and you slowly close your laptop and go take a nap. That's the next video. I'm going to break down exactly where to put that money. In plain English, no jargon, no spaceship. So a total beginner can go from, I have no idea what an index fund is, to fully set up in one afternoon. It's the natural sequel to everything we just covered, and it's the part that turns all this from nice idea into an actual growing pile of money. So here's your move. Subscribe so that next video lands right in front of you the second it drops. Because the gap you protect today is worthless if you never learn where to put it. Then do the one tiny thing. Set up an automatic transfer this week, even $5. Just prove to yourself the system works. And drop a comment telling me which of the 4 reasons was you. Be honest. No judgment here. We're all recovering raccoons in trench coats. I'll see you in the next one.